Hello, welcome to Monday Night Live 64. Hope everyone is well after this long weekend. Huge amounts of fines. I've been noticing on Facebook everyone's out detecting, which is fantastic. Well done, everyone. I hope I'm coming through loud and clear. We should be on YouTube, but we're not for some reason. But nothing new there really. So I hope everyone's well. There's lots and lots of people here. Mark's here and Andrew and Lisa, of course. Lisa's always here. Yes. Chris is here. Jason. Hello, everyone. Peter's abandoned us. Lego Masters is on. So there will be talk. Who's that? Brian. Brian says there'll be talk of SDC coils. There will be talk of SDC coils. We will do that. Absolutely. We are looking forward to that. Darkside is in the house. Darkside is here, ready to go. That's fantastic news. God knows why I can't get YouTube to work. But anyway, Dale's here. Steve. Steve. Darren. Lynn's here. Warren. Narelle. Trevor. Everyone's here. Spiros. G'day, guys. So tonight we're going to give away some USB sticks. We'll give away 3 of those little USB sticks. I am running low on them. So we'll give away those. We're going to talk about coils, okay? So we'll give you a bit of a brief overview about how I do coils and how I think about coils. Then we're going to talk in some detail about the SDC coils. They're out and they're getting some good reviews, some bad reviews. Depends who you talk to, but we'll have a bit of a chat about them. And then there's what else are we going to do tonight? Oh, we're going to do a bit of a wrap up. I've got some photos here of the nugget hunt out at not Targhini. That was the one last year, but the nugget hunt out at Carrara. Lots and lots of finds out there, some pretty cool stuff. So we're going to talk about that. And of course, we couldn't let the night go by without talking about Vanquish, the rumoured new machine from Minelab. So that's what we're going to do tonight. Don't forget to win the USB sticks. Now, these USB sticks, I believe I have put them up in the shop there, $30. That just covers me buying these cool little gold things and postage out to you. Doesn't cover too much more, but so they're the USB sticks. Now, on those USB sticks are over 40. I haven't looked at them lately, but over 45,000 US waypoints. You actually load them on Google Earth or you load them on whatever mapping system you have. So they're just the waypoints. They're all historic mines. We weren't charging for them, but we are starting to now because it's just got out of hand. Everyone wants them. So they're just USB just waypoints. So there's no mapping system on that. You have to put it on your own mapping system. But they're a great start for people just getting into it. All of that information, of course, is already on your state mines departments. So don't feel like you have to purchase it to buy them. And that's the reason why I hadn't been selling them in the past. But I have given away about 500 of them. So it's got to the point where I have to have a chat about it. So, right. Scott's here. I'm very red, am I? Yeah, I've had a change of camera that affects my complexion apparently. Not too much I can do about that, Steve. But thanks for your concern about my sunburn. Right. Lee's here. Narelle, good to see you, Narelle. Donny Pascoe. Donny found 2 pieces of gold today. Congratulations, Donny. Right. Frank's here. Good to see you, Frank. Kieran. Mike. Lots and lots of people here. James and Kyle and too many people to mention. So Darren found a 14-foot python at Jurakai over the weekend. You would have been better off finding a bit of gold, but anyway, that's yeah. Johnny Cochrane's here. G'day, John. How are you? Billy's here. Billy Mohammed. Murphy and David and Baz. Lots and lots of people here. Right, where do we want to start? Do we want to start? Paul's here. Go Paul and Tom and Jace. Right, let's start with probably the big news of the week, and that would have to be this bad boy here. So, Minelab released virtually no information about a new machine coming out. And there's all these rumours floating around, and I have no idea what is actually happening, right? This is the only photo that's been floating around, and that's the only photo that I've seen. Now, I can't believe that's the photo. I can't believe that's the new machine. But I hope it's not the new machine. But anyway, that's the photo that's floating around. And I believe that came off a patent that was filed not too long ago. So what happens is these events come out, these notifications come out, and obviously previously people have filed patents and all that sort of stuff. So that's the patent that's coming out. Now, the only rumour I've heard about what the machine will do is that it's not gold. So it's a relic machine. And I have heard another rumour that it's that it won't be as good as your Equinox 800. So don't think you need to go out and buy. You've just bought an Equinox. Don't think that's going to be superseded. So I think it will be around that Equinox 600 or cheaper mark, but time will tell. All this stuff, Minelab are quite good at keeping these secret for a little while. Not forever, but for a little while. So yeah, that's all the information I have on it. There's a couple of videos on it. Someone just put up a YouTube link. I suppose that's what it is. But that is what I know of the Vanquish. Yeah. So that's the Vanquish. Mark makes a good point. It does look a little like a... it does look a little bit like the love child of a Dyson vacuum cleaner and a, let's say, ATX. But, I cannot believe that that's the machine. So, yeah. So that's the rumours that are out about that machine. So, I can't see it actually happening. So I actually like, it's all rumour at the moment. So don't believe anything at this stage. It's too early, and there's not enough information out. That I believe all the dealers know about it. But it but I think they're sworn to secrecy on their lives. So, yes. Righto, so Lyle, Leanne's here. How are you, Leanne? Morgan. Morgan mentions it's got 3D imagery. Again, I know the bloke who started that rumour. I don't know whether it has or not, but maybe. Anything's possible. Yeah, exactly. So, Dean asked the question how he pulled up after, how Donnie pulled after his chili. The last live stream we did was we did a really rough live stream from around the campfire at the nugget hunt. So yeah, just fantastic. That was a fantastic event, but we'll get into that in a little bit more detail. While we're talking about, let's just jump in and have a look at these SDC coils. Okay, so a little while ago, Coiltech bought out these 3 coils. Okay, 10 by 5, 11 round, and a 14 by 9. Okay, now lots and lots of people have come and have raved about them, said they're excellent, they improved the machine, rah 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 rah. A lot of people have also come out and said, well, they're not as good as I expected. Now, I believe that discrepancy is really about is really to do with people's expectation of these coils. So you're going from, if you do this, you're going from an 8-inch round to a 10 by 5 or 11 or a 14 by 9. So they aren't going to pick up as small a gold as what the 8-inch coil is going to do. They just aren't. They're not designed to do that. They're designed to go deeper on bigger pieces. So if you're looking for fine, super fine gold, my suggestion to you is to stick with the 8-inch. Being a bigger coil, that's just how it works. So I think a lot of people expected them to have, particularly that 10 by 5, wherever it is, to perform as well as the 8-inch round, the standard coil. And they're just not going to. So, yeah. So I just think that they're not, people's expectation of them is what's, they're just not going to do the job that a 8-inch round's going to do. So, right. Right, let's just say, like for micro gold, like really, really fine gold, yeah, the 8-inch SDC coil is going to be fantastic, right? But don't discount Gold Monster, particularly the ORX. Geez, it's finding some small gold. Gold Bug 2, AT Gold, AT Max. Don't discount any of those on tiny, tiny gold. Yes, so, yeah. So if you're looking for really, really fine gold, that's a good way to start with a VLF machine or the 8-inch monocoil on the SDC, or even the 8-inch monocoil on an ATX. I think the performance is fairly similar on those two machines. So, so Brian asked, do I know people that tried them all? I don't know anyone that's bought all 3, Brian, and compared all 3 together. I do know people that I currently don't own SDC, so I haven't bought any myself. But I know people that have bought each of those coils, and some are happy and some aren't. So I can't help you there too much, Brian. So yeah. So okay. So okay, so let's just skip away from those for a moment there. We've got some, there's rumours floating around about an event that's going to happen this year in Australia. I believe it's somewhere on the East Coast. I don't know exactly where it is yet. There's going to be $50,000 worth of prizes. It's a competition hunt. I don't have all the details. I've spoken to someone who's fairly closely associated with the guy doing it. I believe there's a bloke called Jim doing it. So I've spoken to people closely associated with Jim. I haven't spoken to this Jim bloke yet, but anyway, we'll get there. So all I know is there's a big kids section, $50,000 worth of prizes all up. The first prize, I believe, is a $20,000, I think, a gold bar. I believe there's bands and entertainment on the Friday and Saturday night. There's food vans. It's going to be like I would expect like a music festival, but for coils on the ground. So that's what it's all about, as far as I know. But $50,000 top prize, I believe that would make it the biggest metal detecting event in the world. So, which is fantastic. And the other bit of information that I have is it's $300 a head to get in. So I think kids are cheaper, but it's $300 a head to get in. So I don't know how many tickets there are. I don't know any of that detail, but it'll be the world's biggest prize money event, that's for sure. So it does sound fantastic, and I believe it wherever it is, it's a fantastic opportunity to get a large number of detectorists in one spot. Like the downside of places, some of the events that are actually in Australia is you get 150 people, or you get 300 people there, and that's a big. It's not a big like that's not a big event compared to some of the UK events. This sort of event has the capacity to get a lot of people there. So yeah. So all I know about location, lots of people asking location, Steve and Donna, and yeah. All I know is that it's going to be on the east coast of Australia. So that's all I know. The information is just trickling out. It's a bit secret squirrel, but I think that's going to be, if that happens, and it's going to be mental. So yeah, so it's a 2-day event. Friday, I believe you can come in Friday, go home Monday morning. So I think it's a 2-day event. So from what I understand, bands on Friday night and Saturday night, so you would think that they'd be So Kyla, yes, travel anywhere for that. Yeah, I think it'll be a phenomenal event. I think people will be. I think people will be coming from overseas for it if it comes off, sort of thing. So, but we'll it'd be nice to get some of the English over and the people from the UK over. So it will be, yeah. Right, no worries. Now we've got while we're cleaning up all this stuff, we might have to call the second half coils. But anyway, nugget hunt was held out at Carrara in Warwick. Fantastic event. I believe there was about 20 or 25 pieces of gold. Oh, that's the other thing I know about that event as well. Apparently, it's a gold. It's not just a gold event. There's gold. I believe there's panable. I asked this question. There's panable gold, detectable gold, and huge amounts of relics. So, like ridiculous amounts of relics. So it's an event for everyone. So I think that's just going to be great. So, g'day Rodney, how you going? Right, so let's just talk about the nugget hunt. So the nugget hunt was fantastic. Carrara, the little tour I did around the goldfields had about 35 cars trailing me around the Foss King area at that. Yeah. So, sorry, I'm just reading Stephen's. Stephen makes this comment here. Dual sensor detector demonstrate. We set up a demonstration of the dual sensor detector from Minelab to users who are interested in the test capabilities of the device, and the result is satisfactory. That's from a military page on the MDS 10, as pictured earlier. Yeah, okay. Satisfactory. Yeah. Right. So, let's get back to Carrara. So, Carrara, I couldn't believe how many people followed me around the bush. There seemed like there was more cars in the bush than what there was in the camp. So, but I've just got some finds here. This is that I'll throw up here. Kids had a ball. There was lots of, that's a penny that was found. Leanne actually, here's a picture of Leanne actually with some more relics that were found out of the same area, buckles, and I think that was a cap gun. But loads and loads of gold came out of there as well. That's just a little bit of it. What was surprising is how well the smaller machines did. The Ace 400 found a little bit. Gold Monster found a bit. The GPZ I found a couple of pieces. There's a little tiny piece right there. This bloke here got his first bit. Michael Gant, he's a regular on the show. I saw him there before. G'day, Michael. Congratulations. We got a close-up of his bit. Here we go. There's Michael's first bit ever. Well done, mate. Congratulations. So that's Michael's. Here's the young bloke that found a little bit of gold with the Ace 400. You can see it sort of in his hand just there somewhere, but too small from that distance. And, here's a few more pieces. Lots and lots of pieces found. So there's another bit on a Z. So lots and lots of fun was had. The campfire chat was fantastic. If you didn't watch the campfire chat, there was poor old Donnie who organised the event, got a little stitched up with some chili jerky, and the boys suggested after he was, it was horrible, that jerky. I don't know. I'm not friends with that person anymore. But anyway, but Donnie got doubly stitched up because he was running around trying to find some water to put it out, and the boys suggested some cheese that was sitting on the counter there, and the cheese, it was chili cheese. So Donnie got a double dose and wasn't real happy about the whole thing. So I think he's recovered now. So yes. So just an amazing event. Brendan asked do I take the old Ute up? Yes, the old Ute went up. I don't think I've got any pictures of her up there. I took a couple of pictures. But the old Ute went up there, of course, and performed. It's an amazing Ute to drive around. I just love that Ute. So I'm going to do a couple of live streams about the Ute coming up shortly. So, right, Dean's here. Lots and lots of person. Oh, Tom Boston. That's it. Tom Boston. Yeah, I'm going to ban him from every page. He's the chili man. So, yeah. So, yeah. Right. Right, got a question here. Not coil related, but do you think the CTX is better than the Equinox 800? Be nice to know your take on it. Yeah, absolutely. The CTX is a better machine. yeah. Right. Yeah, the GPZ fine small as well, but when we're talking about small gold, before the GPZ 7000 fine small gold, and it probably does it the best of the lot. The reason I don't sort of throw it in that same thing is it's also 10 grand, so, or 9 grand, whatever it is. So, right. Yeah, Trevor wasn't a beauty pageant, the live stream. No, it wasn't. No, it certainly wasn't. So, right. Yeah, Cleggy is a very funny man. I enjoy his company a lot. Cleggy had an unfortunate trip. And there's more to that. There's more to the story. So if you watch the fireside chat, you heard about Cleggy's problems with his trailer. And on his last couple of trips. So anyway, on the way home, he only got about an hour up the road, and he wrote the trailer off. So Cleggy's not having a good run, and I will demand he tells that story before we go too much further. So I'll have to get him on just to tell that story, I think. So because Cleggy is a very, very funny man. So, but anyway. Right, so, okay, so let's talk about coils. There's lots of questions here about coils. We haven't got we haven't even touched on coils, and it's already 8 o'clock. So just before we do though, let's just, I'm Ben from Gold Diggers. We do this every Monday night. This is Monday Night Live 64. Tonight's prize, Gold Bar. Share this live stream before it ends to win. There's 3 of these I'll send out tomorrow. This is a USB stick with 45,000 plus gold mine locations on it. So a fantastic little prize, and yes. So 3 of them going out. Right. Right. So let's talk about coils. Okay. People ask me what coil to put on a 4500. I saw a question there a minute ago. What coil to put on a 5? What coil to put on AT Max? So I think there's probably 3 brands of coils that you can't go wrong with. Okay, and everyone has this. It's a bit like the brand thing. It's the Ford and Holden thing again. Okay, so there's 3 brands of aftermarket coils that I trust. Coiltech, Nugget Finder, and Nell Coils. So for a VLF machine, right, you cannot go past Nell Coils. Nell Coils are a definite upgrade if you're looking for an aftermarket coil. And for your PI machines, your big PI machines, Nugget Finder Evos, like a lot of the Coiltech coils and a lot of the Nugget Finder coils are phenomenal. So I'm not going to get into specifics tonight. I'm not going to answer every question about what coil should I put on my 4500. But we're going to talk generally about coils so you can make the decision based on your ground and what you're looking to find. So let's just talk about how do we start this. I had notes. I've blown those notes out of the water. Okay, so search coils. Let's just start with an overview how they work. Okay, search coils actually have. Okay, let's just do it this way. Search coils, right? Big search coils go deep, right? But because the signal's spread out, these small coils only go shallow, okay? And the signal is very concentrated. So they pick up every little small piece, okay? Big coils, right? The machine's still got exactly the same amount of power, but it's punching deeper. There's more ground being covered, okay? So the signal's more spread out. You start to miss small pieces, okay? So that's your sacrifice. That's what we're talking about with the Coiltech SDC coils there before. You've got a small coil on it. It'll pick up every little tiny piece. You start putting bigger coils on it. You start to lose those small pieces. And that's why I think some of those, the expectations of those SDC, those large SDC coils, that's the problem, is that people are missing the small bits and they don't understand why. No coil's perfect and everything's got a hole in it, sort of thing. Now, so when you start talking, and we're talking at the edge of detection range, okay? When you start talking over 15 inch coils, okay? So we're talking really quite big coils, 15s, 18s, 20s, big coils. At the edge of detection, you will miss a coin, right? Where it'll pick up a Coke can, okay? So that's what you can be missing if you're putting big giant coils on them. So you need to be careful once you start getting up into those big, massive coils. It's amazing how much you're starting to miss with those big, giant coils. So, right. So, that's about the size of coils, okay? If we were to, let's just get rid of that. If we were to talk about different coil types, okay? So there's three major coil types, okay? There's a concentric coil, where the coils, the wire, there's a transmit and a receive coil, wire in the coil, and one's transmitting all the time, and this is a VLF coil. One's transmitting all the time, one's receiving all the time, okay? So that's, and they're normally round because of the shape of the coil, sort of thing. The next type of coil is a double D coil. Now, I have an image here, I think, of a double D coil that I'll show you in a minute. So what you actually got is you got transmit on one side and receive on the other. So again, it's a constant signal going out with VLF machines. And then the other type is the monocoil, okay? Now, again, two wires, but they're placed on the outside of the coil. Some coils, right, they use the same wire to transmit and receive. Now, a monocoil is normally only goes on a pulse induction machine. So they tend not to work on VLF machines. So they're the three basic types of coils, okay? There are coils that are out of the box, different, so it's a drag coil. I won't go into any details, but basically you drag it behind you on a quad bike, right? And these coils can get huge. The other coil that is probably worth mentioning is these, that's called a Eagle Eye for Garrett. I don't think they make it anymore, but one's a transmit coil, one's a receive coil, and it covers huge amounts of ground deep, right? And you will not find anything small with it. You'll only find big objects. And you just carry that around, and you don't swing it, you don't do anything. You just carry it around looking for objects. So there's a stack of variations, but those three, the mono, the double D, and the concentric, is what you'll deal with most of all, okay? So that's really what we're discussing. Now, as far as type, okay, if we talk VLF machines, for instance, let's have a talk about VLF machines. So VLF machines, you use this concentric coil or you use double D coils, okay? So if we look at the signal patterns on them, the yellow in that is the concentric coil, okay? So it's a cone shape. So one of those is that's the front view, right? That's the side view. So the side view, the green area is much, much bigger, much squarer shape. That's the double D coil. And then the yellow on the front view is much bigger. But when you look at the yellow coil, it's a real cone shape. It's a round cone shape. So you're missing like those edges. So if you're using concentric coil, it's most important that you overlap your coil swings fairly heavily, or you'll be missing those sort of targets. With a double D coil, because it's squarer, it is harder. You don't need to overlap your swings anywhere near as much. So that's basically the shape of the signal it puts out. In normal circumstances, for coin and relic, you probably want to run a double D coil. The double D coil probably goes a little bit deeper. It's probably easier to pinpoint. When you do take a double D coil into heavily mineralized ground, there's actually less. When you look at that front view, there's actually less soil underneath your coil, so they tend to be quieter for VLF machines. That's why, the RX with the double D coil is doing so well, sort of thing. So they tend to be a bit quieter out there. So that would be my suggestion. Okay, so we've got a couple of questions here. If I can get to them. One's a pretty big subject. So let's just pause here for a minute and talk about frequencies. Now, the frequencies of a coil, and not a lot of the times it's coil driven, aided by the machine. So for instance, you've got three settings on the, is it the 705 I'm thinking of? Three different settings on the 705 where you can pick your different ones, but you can buy a coil, an aftermarket coil with one frequency or three frequencies. So a lot of it's driven with the coil. Certainly the XP machines it's all coil driven. The machine is actually in the coil. So if we talk about frequency, okay, generally the higher the frequency, the more it's looking for small targets. Okay, there's no point setting your gold machine, whether it's Equinox, whether it's Gold Monster, whether it's ORX, whether it's Deus, whether it's all these multi-frequency machines or selectable frequencies. There's no point setting it at 6 kilohertz. Okay, if you're setting it at a frequency of 6, right, that's designed for bigger items down deep. So the way I describe it is that if you're looking for small pieces, you want a high frequency. If you're looking for bigger items, put it at a low frequency. The low frequency will punch deeper, but won't hear those little pieces. One interesting thing to note is silver coins seem to really, really attract the attention of like those really low kilohertz. So 6s and 4s and like those sort of kilohertz are phenomenal on silver, and those sort of the high conductivity targets. I absolutely love them. And if you've got a Deus or an Equinox or what have you, and you're hunting in an old site, punch the frequency down as low as you can get it, right? And you'll be surprised how deep it's surprising how deep you'll go on stuff like silvers. So, yeah. Right. I don't. So Andrew asks. Luke says here I need a throat license. I probably do actually. The young bloke's sick, and it's probably my turn. I probably did something. Yes. So Greg asks here, elliptical HF coil, 9.5 inch. What would you mostly use it for? I guess you're talking about the elliptical XP coils. High frequency was the giveaway there. Mostly for gold. High frequency for gold, low frequency for big coins. Andrew, a coil's easy to make. They don't look complicated, but I bet you my bottom dollar they are to get them right. So yeah. Right. Yeah, so Trevor, I think Trevor's replying to someone out here. So he's talking about PI machines here. The transmit pulse always stays the same, but it's the RX gain is a adjustment on a lot of modern machines, PI machines, and it allows more sensitivity on the return signal. The downside of that is if you get too much RX gain, you'll start to hear some ground noise. So, yeah. Right, okay, so I'm catching up on comments here. Is the coil resonate to match the frequency? I don't know what that quite means, Brian. Sorry, mate. Yes, if you want information about the Gold Monster, Donnie is actually been doing stacks of videos on the Gold Monster. I think Donnie does a pretty good job of that, and he runs the machine pretty well. Yeah. So, right. So that's sort of frequency covered. I don't want to get into too much detail with that. So let me just. Mark asks, any thoughts on a QED machine or anyone experienced with one? Mark, I was talking to I suppose you'd describe him as a hobby miner. So he's got a mine, but he doesn't work it like it's a job. He uses a QED almost exclusively. They're not a bad machine. It's the mug on the end of the machine that's the issue. So any of those sort of decent quality machines are good, but you have to know them back to front. If you don't know them back to front, you're wasting your time. So yeah. Right. Okay. So that's coils. That's these coils, double D coils and concentric coils. Now if we look at and here's another representation of what these coils do. So double D coil, nice and narrow, cone shaped, and a small core going shallow. So, okay, so when we talk about, I just had a question there about mineralization. Okay, so here's a little graph. This is a Garrett graph, and it talks about for VLF machines, and I believe it's a similar thing for pulse induction machines, but someone might quote me on that and disagree with me on that. But there comes a certain point where a double D coil will outperform a concentric coil, because concentric coils and monocoils are better they're much more sensitive. Okay, so when you're running a machine in a heavily mineralized area and it's jumping all over the place, quite often you can switch over to a double D coil and it will quieten it down a lot. A lot of the pulse induction machines run monos because they're sensitive, and you have to cope with the ground noise or have to have a machine that copes with the ground noise. So that's a good graph to show. Of course, there's no numbers on the graph. It varies with ground conditions and how wet the ground is and all that sort of stuff. But there is a point where you'll get more performance and greater depth out of a double D coil over a mono or concentric, and it just depends on how mineralised it is. It was the question earlier about someone here about salt lakes. I forget who asked that. Anyway, Dale asked why double D is better on salt lakes. Simply for this reason. There's actually much less, if you look at that top graph, there's actually much less soil under a double D than what there is under a mono or concentric coil. So therefore, with less ground underneath it, there's less mineralisation underneath it, and that's why you can settle the machine down better. So I hope that makes sense. But yeah, so right. Morgan asked, "What about small coils? What did you want to know about the small coils?" Okay, so this isn't really, since we've just touched on ground balance, we've got a question here from Jason. It's a pretty good question. Ground balance window. Okay, I don't know the Minelab machines, the VLF machines well enough to comment on those. So I'm going to confine these comments to Garrett machines. So when they released the AT Max, they developed a thing called ground balance window. So ground balance window basically just opens up opens up what a ground balance is at. So that's handy in changing soils where you don't have to go and change you don't have to go and ground balance all the time. So that's the advantage of a ground balance window. Okay, it's only on the AT Max as far as I know. It's not on AT Gold, AT Pro, or any of the others. There's also a myth that I'd like to address about ground balance, is that with your ACE range of machines, people say that if you turn the machine off, put the coil on heavily mineralised ground, turn the machine back on, it somehow ground balances. That's just not the case. I've asked that question. It's written in the manual if that's how it works, but it does not. I've asked the technicians at Garrett, and it doesn't work like that. No way. So it doesn't have a ground balance feature at all. Okay, so I'm going to describe, Brian asked a question here about a frequency sine or pulsed. It's too technical for me. The way I describe it, and the only really way I understand it, and most people understand it, is a VLF machine is a constant signal. So I suppose, I'm not even going to try and put it into the language you use. But anyway, so it's like a constant signal. It's like a radio listening for static, and it hears a little bit of static, and that's a target noise, right? The pulse induction machine, and this is technically none of this is true, right? But it's the best way I've found to describe it. A pulse induction machine is like a radar, sends out a pulse, waits for it to come back, okay? And it does that hundreds of times a second, thousands of times a second. So they're the two frequencies, and that's sort of the layman's version of how they work. So, yeah. Donnie, I praised you. Sorry, mate. I can start carving you up again if you want. So, but you're consistently finding gold, Donnie. That's my issue. I can't continually carve you up, mate. So, yeah. Right. Colin from the South Island of New Zealand. Welcome, mate. Steve, a suggestion box thing on what some want to know might go over well. Absolutely. So I suppose we may as well just mention that now. If anyone's got any subjects that they want me to cover on Monday Night Live, and it's a bigger subject than just shooting me a message, shoot me a message. Shoot me a message on Facebook, or send me an email, and I will put all suggestions to the show, because I'm always looking for subjects for the show. I'm always looking for guests for the show. So if you want to come on the show, and you've got something vaguely interesting to talk about, let's do it. So just contact me. Right. Steve Marsh, does the XP RF come with a double D coil? Yes, it does. Donnie, can you put up a link for one of your Gold Monster reviews? People are chasing it. Right, I'm going to skip through about 40 comments here. Sorry, guys. So Amanda says, I've heard that some people prefer using the gold coil rather than the lower frequency treasure coil for treasure hunting with the 705. So what you get, right? So what you get, and I don't know whether that's a change in coil size or just frequency. Amanda? Is it Amanda? Amanda. Some people will put a smaller coil for relic hunting on for target separation. So a bigger coil gives you less target separation. Smaller coil gives you better target separation. So if you're going into a really trashy park and trying to pick out those big silvers, and there's a lot of rubbish over the top of them, quite often you go to a little coil and you're laughing. So there is a benefit that way. I don't believe going to a higher frequency. Will help you nugget hunting. Will help you relic hunting, but will certainly help you nugget hunting. What happens when you put a high frequency coil for relic hunting is you will tend to, particularly on the beach, you'll find little tiny bits of speaker wire that you just can't find, and they're messy signals. So it's really, really tough work. So, Donnie should come on the show. Brian makes a great point. I've been trying to get Donnie on the show. Yes, so if we can, I've been trying to get him on the show. He reckons he's got a head for radio. So, yes, if we can start a groundswell, please, of getting Donnie on the show, that would be fantastic. So, yeah. Right, Benny's here. G'day, Ben. Right. Monday Night Live starring Donnie Pascoe. So, yes. Right, let me just skip. I'm skipping ahead here, guys. Donnie's put a link up there of some of his stuff. There's lots of conversations going on here, which is fantastic. Yes, everyone gets stuck into Donnie and get him on the show here. We need to get him on the show. So, and we'll get Cleggy on the show. We have to get them all back. I'm going to work out a way. Apparently, this computer system, I can dial into their webcam and what have you. So I haven't tried it yet. I haven't been game to try it because I can't even get bloody YouTube to work. But yeah, apparently I can dial someone in. So Cleggy's up north, so we'll try and get Cleggy on the show again. And Donnie has to come on the show. Donnie's Monster Show. That's where we are. Yes, that's right. Everyone gets stuck into Donny. I love it, love it, love it. Okay, so have we got any more questions? Have we got? Actually, what we could do, Donny, if it's a bit of an enticement for you, we could get you on the. We could get some chili from Tommy Boston, if that's an inducement to get you on the show. So yeah. Donny's always welcome on the show. Love his work. Right, so have we got into? Have we got? Has anyone got any questions on coils? I'm here to answer questions on coils, just to give you a bit of an idea of what's available. There is some enormous coils. That sharpshooter there is a fantastic coil to put on stuff like ATE Max, 705. There's some really good coils. Nell does some great coils. So they're just a few of the Nell coils. We've got Mark's been running some competitions in metal detecting country New South Wales as well. So some fair. Oh, so Simone, maybe we can get some chili Coke to drink. So Trevor from the dark side, get Donny and NQ Explorers on for a chili pie show. I think I'll sit over there behind the camera for that one. So yeah, just fantastic. Yeah, Donny's got an ORX up there and he's testing it for me. Let me know. G'day, Paul. You've seen a 17. I've seen a 17-inch coil for the CTX over the stock coil. Would you recommend it? A 17-inch is a big coil, right? It's probably, I reckon it's probably too big. Certainly an aftermarket coil, but maybe not 17 inches. So that big coil there, I forget how big the big coil is from Nell. It's too big for most occasions. I think it's 16 by 17 or something or other. 15 by 17. I've just spotted it. Yeah, so I think it's too big. But, you know, I suppose it really depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for big targets down deep, if you're horde hunting in Europe, or you're looking for a 44-gallon drum, or you're looking for a car that's buried, a big coil is the way to go. So, yeah. I think that sharpshooter, that one at the top there, the sharpshooter is one of the best coils if you're looking for a aftermarket coil for Garrett's or 705s or that sort of thing. So, Gem Q. So, this is where people, you're best to talk to people experienced. Gem Q preferred the 17-inch coil over the 11. So, Guy much prefers that. So, yeah. So, there you go. So, Guy was running the 17 on the CTX by the, yeah. So, Bob just asked a question. Bob, larger coils go deeper, smaller coils go shallow, but pick up every little tiny piece. So, guys, I've just looked at the clock. It's 8:30. It's time for knock-off time. Time to watch the go and watch the replay of Married at First Sight or Lego Masters or whatever's on TV at the moment. So anyway, so tonight's prize is we're going to give away 3 of these USB sticks. What we'll do is you've got a couple of minutes just to share it, share the live stream before we finish, and I'll draw these out. Yes, so a couple of minutes just left to share. and we can go from there. Remember, 1 share only per person. Yeah, 1 share per person. There's a lot of people here sharing multiple times. Multiple times gets you nothing else. You're just wasting time with that finger clicking the button. So gets you nothing else. So yes. So yeah. So let me just get the whatchamacallit fired up here. Right. Okay. So it's fired up, ready to go. It's almost 8:30. So yes. So we'll go straight to it. Right. We'll close it off. Right. We'll close it off, and we'll actually do 4 tonight. So we'll just fire it up right now. The competition is now closed. Oh, what's on next week? That's a very good question. I don't really know what's on next week. I am determined to get YouTube working, which will be fantastic if I ever manage to do it before I die. So maybe send some suggestions through on what people want to hear for next week. The sort of shows that I've got coming up, just to give people an idea, is we've got to talk about sluicing at some stage. We haven't talked about that for a while. We've also got an anniversary coming up. Captain Thunderbolt and Ben Hall. A couple of anniversaries there coming up. Bushranger anniversary. Also this month we've got the first discovery of gold, an anniversary of the first discovery of gold. So, I've got scheduled gold panning, power pointers. We've got Ned Kelly's anniversary coming up. We've got GPS data and mapping. We probably haven't done a show on what gear I use. So that's coming up. We got Frank Gardner's anniversary coming up. We'll do more gold reading. When we're talking, I've rattled through a fair few there, but, we've got Cobb & Co anniversaries coming up, and Martin Cash and Jack Donahue. So, if people want to see specific things, just shoot me an email and I can do a whole show on something. Can we talk about water detecting? Yes, we can. That's a great one, Michael. That's the sort of suggestion. That's the sort of suggestion we need. Low tech sluicing when no water's in a creek. Yep, we can do that. All those sort of things. We can do a show on Western Australia as well. We can load up some of the tenement maps and what have you and have a bit of fun with that. So, anyway, send me suggestions through the week. I can change the schedule to suit you guys. But I better draw these 4 USB sticks. They got 45,000 comments, waypoints on them. So I'll draw them out now. So the first one here is Lawrence Chambers. Lawrence lives in Brisbane. Right, beautiful. Lawrence, I'll contact you straight after the show. The next one to spit out, Peter Hicks in Barnsdale, Victoria. Some good Victorian stuff on there too. Robert Jolly Buster, he's got underneath him. He's from WA. Well done, mate. And then the 4th one will go out to Jeff Bull. Jeff Bull, he looks like he's a Brisbane fella as well. So, congratulations, all the winners. I will contact you immediately after the show to get your address. I think that's everything. I think we've got everything covered. We've got a show. We've talked about magnet fishing. We've got new beginner shows. We've just done a beginner show, so we probably won't come back to a beginner show. And we've got bushrangers coming up all over the place. There's lots of anniversaries. So I've tried to tie all the bushranger stuff. So we'll do Ned Kelly on the anniversary of Glen Rowan, and we'll do Thunderbolt on the anniversary of his death, and Martin Cash and John Donahue. You know, we'll do them on the anniversaries of their deaths or their big stick-ups or their disappearing. So, you know, there's a bit of that stuff that I've tried to tie in with the anniversaries of the bushrangers. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining me after a bit of a 2-week break with the nugget hunt and Easter. I'll look forward to seeing you next week. I'll put up the if you've got any suggestions for next week's show, get them to me by Wednesday. I'll put them up Wednesday. Jason wants just to show him a truck. I think we might have to do that as a separate live stream, so that people can avoid it if they don't want to. So, right, guys, thank you very much for joining me, and we will. I'll see you all next week. Thanks, guys. Good night.